The question everyone in America is asking,
am I racist?
Make those moves.
Buy your tickets to see Am I Racist in theaters now.
This is all I have. Did you want to...
I can help you guys out.
Yeah.
Go to AmIRacist.com now for showtimes.
I've been told because I'm a white male, kind of at the top of the pile, how do I get down from the top?
I don't think you necessarily can.
How do we get past all the talk about racism?
We have to love each other.
Well, it can't be that simple. How do we get to a point of racial harmony? It's good to talk to you. We're still on a journey, all of us together.
I think you got some journeying to do.
Just talk to me about the statistics. We have an epidemic.
20 million crimes a year, 6,000, 7,000 hate crimes. No, there's no epidemic.
Why are we talking about statistics? This is not a matter of statistics.
Well, you asked me about the statistics.
Am I Racist? Rated PG-13 in theaters now. Go to AmIRacist.com for tickets and showtimes now.
Back again on a Wednesday with an eye. One more day of the week, and then we get football tomorrow. The alma mater, South Alabama, playing App State.
USA! USA!
We got an NFL game, Blaine. Who's
Kill me!
Who is it?
It's the mid bowl. It's the mid off.
It's Patriots-Jets.
Patriots-Jets.
Tomorrow?
Well, it could be worse.
Could it?
Yeah, the Panthers could be playing the Giants. It could just remember. It could always.
No,
be
that's Germany's last punishment.
Yeah, that is true, and they deserve it. Before we get into it, we got a great show for you today. Got a ton to get to. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Marshall's coach, Charles Huff, in a video that apparently got taken down. I tweeted about it. Now you can't find the video. Had a brilliant idea for transfers, and he mentioned Ohio State by name. An NIL deal, David, unlimited biscuits.
Yeah.
Right? For life, I think he said. If you transfer from Ohio State, he said, we got some of them Ohio State guys running around. You get Tudor's biscuits, which apparently it's like a big deal.
I've never had one.
For like, I bet
it must
they're pretty
be. If you're
good.
calling out the name of it, they must slap.
And they also must be helping the university a little bit too.
So I'm glad I watched this video because apparently now it's been taken down.
Is it tampering? To say, not that we want to offer free biscuits from Tudor's, like as an NIL deal, but to specifically say if any of Ohio State, because they play Ohio State this weekend, I believe. Marshall,
yeah, 39.5.
I don't think you can say the school by name.
That's the line. That's every single day I see a social media post. Shedeur Sanders, $5 million in NIL. Livy Dunn, $4 million in NIL. Can't talk about biscuits though.
Well, let's not bring Livy Dunn.
I mean, if Jim Harbaugh,
don't
that was what was on the post.
He's going through enough right now.
Going through enough what?
From a pitching standpoint, I mean, that boy's not looking phenomenal.
Was Skeens messing up on the mound?
He's fine. He's got to adjust.
But this is
that's beside the point.
This is tampering.
How? Yeah, if Jim Harbaugh does it, he'd be in jail.
If Jim Harbaugh, they would have fired him to the moon.
They would have literally exiled Jim Harbaugh to Siberia,
to the Chargers,
or North Korea.
What was Brandon Staley doing?
Dude, I don't know, but it's looking a lot better. That Joe Alt draft pick looks good too. The status for Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers is still uncertain this weekend against La Monroe, like it matters. Marshall's coach has a great recruiting strategy, as we mentioned, and we're going to break down USC's physicality before they play Michigan. Is it here to stay? I'm Jay Crain, and we're partying on a Wednesday here at Crain & Company. We all saw USC actually look physical on defense against LSU to start the season. And the scheme was never the problem with Alex Grinch. Not that it was the greatest, but he knew where to tell him to line up and who to guard and where to be. It was adopting that physical mindset that had been holding Lincoln Riley's teams and defenses back from allowing the team to be balanced and therefore able to actually win a national championship, not just get close. The hire of D'Anton Lynn, at least so far, seemed to have turned that tide. But this Saturday, against a Michigan team that may not be explosive offensively, but we do know that they're physical, we're going to get to find out if that game against LSU was a flash in the pan or if that's who USC really is now. They're going to face better offenses down the road. That isn't the question. It's the physical aspect of this game. Growing up, USC's ability to not only hit you in the teeth, but smile while doing it wasn't in question. California may have problems, but I remember USC being the anomaly. They weren't the surfer dudes who just wanted world peace. They were the angry group that wanted to leave you in pieces. After all, this is the home of Brian Cushing, Troy Polamalu, and Ray Maualuga. Deep down, this is who they really are. And if they have found themselves under this new defensive regime, along with Lincoln Riley's wizardry on offense, USC isn't going to just be knocking at the door. They're going to kick the thing down. So say what you want about Michigan's inability to throw the ball, and to be honest, you'd be right. But the question for USC isn't can they win a 7-on-7 tournament. It's can they turn back into the fence-biting, helmet-butting machine that brought them to prominence. And if they show that's who they really are, watch out, because this group does not need a sword. They're going to be cutting you down either way. I'm bringing in former Michigan quarterback David Cohn, my brother, former Western State Colorado wide receiver Blaine Crain. And David, I want to go back to something that, I think gets lost when we look at coaches and the performance of whether they be coordinators in their side of the ball or a head coach and the performance of the whole team. Scheme matters. I'm not saying that. But there's been a lot of bad coaches, right, that looked good because their players were just better and they had a physical identity. That's what these Lincoln Riley teams had been missing at Oklahoma and so far at USC. So if there's one thing outside of whoever wins the game that I think we're going to find out about this USC team this weekend against Michigan is have they truly adopted that physical mindset and that tone of physicality that we grew up watching them have. This isn't a new thing. This would be them actually reverting to what got them to.
That's a good way to put it, because how I was thinking of it is USC's performance on defense against LSU looked different, which means it looked similar to the USCs that we grew up watching and that I had to play against in the Rose Bowl my freshman year. Those Pete Carroll-led teams, we think about Reggie Bush running all over the place and having 2 Heisman Trophy winners at the same time with him and Matt Leinart and have, the one team they had it running back with Lindell White, all that. But man, like that defense was so physical, took pride in coming downhill and hitting you. Is this defense that? I don't know. It remains to be seen, but something looked different in the LSU game. And what an opportunity this week to go on the road and play a Michigan team that really for the last few seasons has prided itself on its physicality. And now Alex Orji is going to start at quarterback for Michigan, which means that they're going all in on that approach for the Wolverines. They are going to be more one-dimensional, but they're saying we believe so much in that one dimension with Kalel Mullings and Donovan Edwards at running back, and now Alex Orji being able to run in the, really put a hat on a hat from the quarterback run standpoint, that we're just going to impose our physicality on you for 60 minutes and see if you can stop it. What better challenge would you want if you're USC right now to be able to showcase, hey, things are different? My question for you, when you start talking about scheme versus mentality, we're only a few months really removed from the defenses that we said Lincoln Riley just can't win because he's so weak on that side of the ball. Whoever he puts at defensive coordinator, it's just not working. That's going to be his kryptonite as a head coach moving forward. If this is truly like a recalling to the USC defenses that we remember from 15 and 20 years ago, how much of this, there has to be some element of scheme, right? Like it's just not a defensive coordinator coming in and saying, we want to hit people hard. I mean, all of them are doing that. What is the element, and it's not new enough to have recruited all better players. Like at some point, you can recruit, in a couple of years, we can say, they recruited better defensive talent and they had an eye for that. But right now, if this defense is significantly better than what Alex Grinch was doing, how much of it is scheme versus like just coming in with a different mentality?
Yeah, well, it's a great question because there is a correlation there. And since I'm not in the room, I can tell, USC is running a lot of man coverage and I can see some of the things they're doing. But to me, we used to call it addition by subtraction, right? Sometimes, and again, I wasn't in the room with Alex Grinch when he was going through it. You can overload guys so much that they're having to think to a point where they can't react, and therefore they're not playing fast, and you're almost like absorbing, right? When you're thinking harder than you're playing, it limits that physicality to some point. So I don't want to call it a dumbing down because I don't know that for certain. But I think just being the human condition, going in there and saying, guys, listen, I'm not going to give you a playbook that's size of a Harry Potter book thick. I've got principles schematically that I want to run, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to know where to line up, and we're going to come downhill. You guys are going to play fast. I'm not going to overload your brain with if this happens, that happens, this happens, that happens, whatever, check to this, that, and the other. We're better than they are because we're going to line up and kick their ass. So to me, I think there is some correlation between, and Blaine, I mean, you know this, saying, all right, we're going to have enough to where we're sound. We know how to check the empty. We know how to check the quads. We'll be able to line up into formation in the boundary. But I don't want to give you too much where I'm eliminating your stinger because we're a physical football team, and we may not be the most complex, but we're going to be the most direct, and we're coming right at you.
Yeah, the last thing you want on defense is a guy's overthinking things. You almost call it the Harold Perkins syndrome, the way LSU did Harold Perkins. Harold Perkins doesn't know what to do. Schematically, there's not a huge difference to me when Alex Grinch and the guy they have in there now. I just think it's from a talent standpoint on defense. I mean, mentality, I'd rather you go 100% full speed and make a mistake than sit back and think about what you need to do. And I think that's what it's brought to this USC defense. But the thing about me is, how much do we really know about this USC defense? So, well, I think
that's the question.
I think all three, we can sit here and say that they're better, obviously better than what they were in the past couple of years. But it kind of makes me look at who LSU is, right? I think LSU, especially early, was a finesse football team, right? They weren't great at running the football. They had over 100 yards against USC. But now, okay, you're about to run into a team, even in the Arkansas State game, you had over 300 yards of rushing. All right, you can somewhat say that offensive line is starting to figure it out. You will find out everything you need to know about this USC defense this year. And not even that. Let's flip it to the other side, okay? I mean, you can go back, and USC is a really good throwing team, but you have to have a running element if you want to make it all the way. You had 60 yards rushing against LSU. Pretty sure South Carolina had 240 yards. And you flip it back to the other side. You know how many sacks USC had against LSU? Zero. Yeah. Okay, so are there positives on this defense to USC? For sure. From what you were, absolutely. But I still don't know yet if it's good enough to take you where you want to go. And you will find out Saturday, because it's going to be 4 quarters of I'm going to punch you in the face 3 yards, 3 yards, 3 yards. And if they can do that, that'll prove a lot more to me than what they did in the LSU game.
And you know, to your point, when you go back and after having played that game against LSU and USC, sometimes, and I'll do this, especially kind of in spring games if I want to see teams, I will watch the game again and I will close my eyes and just listen during plays. Because you can hear an increase in physicality in some of these games. And just off the huff, when I go back and I close my eyes and I listen to the sound that USC makes on defense, as opposed to what I've heard in the past, I do think there's a difference. But we don't know if this is who they really are yet. It's a great start. That's why I started with it and posed it as a question, not a fact. Because the biggest, thing we talked about with USC going to the Big Ten, the same reason we worried about them was the same reason we felt good about Oregon. We're like, Oregon is a physical team. That translates. We talk about that with Utah being able to fit in any conference because they're physical. And yes, I get that USC didn't run for a lot of yards against LSU. I'm not worried about Lincoln Riley's offense. That's the last thing I'm worried about. Just like I'm not worried about Kirby Smart's defense at Georgia. There's some things that if you show me who you are enough, I'm going to believe you. If this USC team, and nobody's saying they're going to be the greatest defense that they've ever had or the best defense in the country, they don't need that. They just need to be good enough to make this team balanced enough to not get close, but to actually get over the hump. So the question is not answered. That's why if I'm a USC fan, I am thrilled for this matchup. This is what I need to see. I don't need to see us running around in a team that runs the air raid and is in empty the whole game. You may run into that. That's great. But you're not winning a national championship because it's a 7-on-7 tournament. You're going to win a national championship because when push comes to shove, literally, and you got to go up against a Michigan offensive line, which, say what you want, I know they lost a lot of guys, but Michigan's good up front. To me, that's not a question. You get to find out. We talked about this with Missouri a little bit with Boston College. As a fan, I want to know. And I would rather know early than to sit here and be like, well. And then week 7, I'm like, oh my God, our defense really does suck when we go up against somebody that's legit. So to me, this is a great, they call it a litmus test, right? That's what this is for USC's defense. And again, nobody is saying Michigan is this high-powered offense that you got to worry about this and you got to worry about that. No, but the weakness of USC's defense has been physicality. And Michigan has a PhD and a doctorate and whatever comes past that on physicality, at least testing you, right, in the run game. And now with Orji, it's times 10.
Yeah. But that's what makes it an even better litmus test for USC, because you get to face a physical opponent who wants to run downhill and you get to test your defense, but you get to do so without J.J. McCarthy being on the other side, without Blake Corum or Jim Harbaugh being on the other side, which I think you can gain some advantages here or there depending on what we see from Alex Orji. With USC on offense, I think Michigan's defense will do a really good job at stifling the run. I think that's what they do best. How exposed will they be in the pass game? That remains to be seen, because Lincoln Riley and Miller Moss, they can do a lot of things that Steve Sarkisian
and they hide it.
Quinn Ewers can do, and I had to watch that with my eyeballs in person. That was painful. So that's on the offensive and the Michigan defensive side of things. For USC's defense, I've been, let's just think, what would be a successful showing beyond just winning the football game? Just forcing multiple 3-and-outs. How often do you let Michigan get into the red zone? How many rushing yards? What would be a metric for success for the USC defense against Michigan's offense?
Well, it's two things. I think third and short is to me what I'm looking at. When it's 3rd and 2, and Michigan's going to run it a ton this game. You can assume they're going to run it. But when it's 3rd and 2, and it's 3rd and 3, or it's 3rd and goal from the 2, and I know they're running it, and you know they're running it, and everybody in the world and around knows that they're running it, can USC line up and stop it? Yeah. That's what I'm going to know. That and just the way it looks.
And Texas did.
And Texas did.
In those situations.
And Texas did. And we say, what about Texas now? Well, it seems like their line of scrimmage ability has seemed to become an identity, which has helped them move from the suburbs, into the estate with a pool and a gate. So again, the way it looks too, tackling in open space, right? The disciplined ability to want to go stick your face in it. How many times have we had to say about a Lincoln Riley defense, whoa, man, you got to hold those guys back. Like, hey, man, well, easy, easy. That's going to be targeting. We haven't had to say that. It's been like, where's the stinger? Where's the stinger? Are we going to find out now that they have found it because you brought in the right guy? And because if you mix a good defense with what Lincoln can do on offense, then it is an absolute problem. There's not many better matches made in football success heaven than Lincoln Riley with a good defense when you know what he can do on offense.
Well, I'm just hoping Michigan can get guys in open space to see if USC can open space tackle.
That's true.
That's one part of it. You got to get guys in the open field. And then on your 3rd and short point, I want to see Michigan get in 3rd and short, because that means they're not in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10. So that'll be that would be a great litmus test for both programs.
Without a doubt. We want to know what you think. Got a great show for you. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. But speaking about waking up, it's not just USC's defense. We all got to wake up. And if you're like me, you're like us, you probably wake up with a cup of coffee. I don't even know if caffeine does anything to me anymore. I'm drinking so much of it. But if you want great flavor, great variety, and a coffee company that supports a great cause, you need to check out Black Rifle Coffee. Now you can get 20% off your purchase with code DailyWire at blackriflecoffee.com. It's roasted right here in the USA by a veteran-led team of expert roasters who take pride in serving coffee and culture to people who love America. And every purchase you make, listen here, helps them further their mission to support veteran and first responder causes. Everything from getting funding and equipment to first responders to helping our veterans get medical care, and they deserve it. So go to blackriflecoffee.com now and use code DailyWire, one word, for 20% off America's Coffee. Blaine, stop laughing. That's blackriflecoffee.com with code DailyWire. Grow up.
Pumpkin spice.
What?
It's almost pumpkin spice season. Not necessarily my
Ichabod.
Some people
Ichabod.
Like
All right, Chad, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. If you donate, it's on topic. It will get read. We're going to start the day off with G. Sands. What's up, brother? Gritch's scheme was a problem along with his finesse style. Them days are over. Coach Lynn and company will have their guys ready with Lincoln dialing up the offense, and now with the physical defense, put the world on notice.
And I want to see it. We use the term it's great for college football if this team's good. It's great for college football when every team's good, because that means everybody is interested in it, not just the big programs that when it's going bad, they're even more interested in it. We need a good USC, man. Football's cyclical. You got teams that come and go. But especially going into the Big Ten, there has never been a better time for a resurgence on defense for USC than right now, because you can't get away with some of the stuff And I know I'm not trying to down the Pac-12 or the Pac-8 or the 2-Pac, whatever it is now, but this is a good time going into the Big Ten to find that physical element again.
But if USC and Nebraska are both back and on the rise, following the heels of Texas and Michigan finally being back to the last couple seasons, the Blue Buds have responded across the country.
It's an interesting time, Bob.
Yeah. Let's go to J-Dub. J-Dub, what's up? How can you go into a big game with a QB who can't throw the ball and expect to win?
It's tough.
It is tough. It narrows.
To say about me.
Yeah, it narrows. Well, you did run the triple option, and you're only 6'7".
Wishbone.
The wishbone. Yeah. It's tough because you limit your pathways to win. That's not saying you don't want to have an identity offensively. Hey, running the ball is our identity, but we're good enough off play action. We can make the routine throws routine. The problem for Michigan is we don't think Orji can make the routine throws routine, and there is no threat. If I'm D'Anton Lynn, what scares me vertically? Why not? You're going to get heavy personnel looks from Michigan anyway. And I know Colson is, have we found out if he's playing yet or not this weekend? You're going to get tight end personnel, which means it's going to be packed in there together tight. You may get some spread out formations, especially on passing downs. I don't know how much we're going to get that with Alex Orji. But I will say, if there's one thing, you're going to get a lot of quarterback draw here too. Yeah. And if you get Michigan in third in passing, and D'Anton Lynn knows this, and we try and have our audience win the water cooler. If you're going to run two-man, right, which is where you have your safeties are taking a half, right, and then everybody else's man, the mic is on the back, they go out to empty, you have got to make sure you are stunning the front. You stunt the front because of quarterback draw, because if the running back motion's out, there's no linebackers. Everybody's gone. I don't know how much of that look we're going to get from Michigan, and I know D'Anton Lynn knows that. But if it's third and passing, draw screen. That's what you're going to get this.
But if Michigan plays bully ball and still wins, that'll be a tough loss.
It would be.
I mean, assuming that Michigan throws the football under 15 times.
Well, I don't think you're ever going to catch Michigan like this again. I don't think you're going to catch Michigan this deficient at quarterback again, at least throwing.
Yeah. Let's go to Harball's Innocent, David. I'm sure you love that name. It says, how much of the RPO game do you think we'll see from Michigan?
Golly, man. For the RPO game, you got to be able to throw that slant in there at a moment's notice. You got to be able to throw the vertical relief, coming off into the boundary. I don't know.
I don't think you're going to get that much RPO stuff because I don't think they want to give him the chance to throw it off the pull. You may get some zone read stuff where it's a run either way. Yeah. You either give it to the back or do you keep it. What I do think you're going to see to get some sort of supplemented pass game is bubble screens, which is an easy throw. Now screens, which is an easy throw. Swing screens from the running back. And then hitches, slants, and a lot of short to intermediate game. I think they will take a couple of shots just to let USC know that we'll do it. Will they hit them? Probably not. Will USC be like, well, we're gonna eat that. If you're all going to hit deep shots against us with Alex Orji, then we deserve to lose the game. But I think early, if they are going to throw it, you're going to get a lot of short things on the perimeter to kind of get him going a little bit, maybe even build a little confidence to where if you do got to fit that dig in there on 3rd and 8, you may not be as hesitant as the offensive coordinator or Sharon Moore, whoever, to call it and see if he can't throw it.
The now screen is a really interesting point. And this is something people need to understand when you ask the RPO question like that, is there are pre-snap reads and there are post-snap reads. So typically what we're thinking of with the RPO game is the post-snap. I'm riding the mesh point.
Yeah, watch it
seeing
play
what
out.
The defensive end and the secondary is doing with the numbers, and I'm pulling it to throw the ball right now in real time. The other way to do that is pre-snap based off the leverage. Okay, I'm seeing what's happening with the orbit motion behind me. If they're not extending, I'm going to go ahead and throw that, and I know it the second before the ball snap. I think you'll see that a lot.
Which is what Tennessee does a lot.
Right? I'm deciding the moment before the ball snap whether I'm going to kick that now screen or whether I'm going to hand the football off. I don't know how much post-snap we're going to see.
See, nowadays when it comes to RPOs, you'll have 3 reads. Right? I mean, you'll have the read here, you'll have a slant backside, read and safety, and you can have a bunch outside for a now screen. So pre-snap, it's what? It's a numbers game, obviously. If you have the numbers out here, you'll throw the screen. Or it's a box game, and if that safety pulls up, then you throw that slant behind. So I wonder how many 3-piece RPOs we'll actually see from Michigan in this game. Let's go to Chris 2, Dub. What is up, man? I'm waiting for Deuce Robinson to have a breakout game for USC. Dude is a matchup nightmare, and I don't think they've utilized him enough yet in the pass game.
Yeah, look, USC's got weapons. I mean, we could go down the list of guys that can make plays on the outside, and it always seems like in a Lincoln Riley offense, there's one or two guys that not really come out of nowhere, but come into their own about game 3 or game 4 when they get comfortable with the system and what they're doing. So whether it's Deuce, there's a couple other guys I'm looking at as well in this game. But in this Lincoln Riley offense, he's also not afraid to get the guy who's hot the ball, right? If you're rocking and rolling, Lincoln's going to – it's just like basketball. Guys shooting well, get in the rock. Set him a screen. Let him shoot. Let him be a rhythm shooter. That's going to be interesting to see. All right, let's move on. The phone lines are going to open here in 22 minutes. We're going to try and get to these early after David's Get Off My Lawn. I know we got to him late yesterday. It's 1-855-236-3228. Hey, David, there's some sneaky games that a lot of people haven't talked about yet.
Yeah, man. Let's break a couple of these games now. First off, Georgia Tech is going to Louisville. So Louisville's undefeated 2-0. Georgia Tech 3-1. This could be a really interesting ACC matchup.
I love this ACC matchup because I think we're going to find out a lot more about Louisville. We feel like we know right after what we saw last year with Braum, and I think Tyler Shuck's a better player than Jack Plummer if he can stay healthy. That's the biggest question, and we've kind of seen that come to fruition early. Again, schedule hasn't been that tough, but Louisville's earned our respect after what they did last year in Braum's first year. Blaine, how shocked were you this opened as a 10.5 point?
It feels high to me.
Doesn't it feel high?
I haven't, and I think a lot of it has to do with we really don't know about Louisville yet. And how much we really know about Georgia Tech. I mean, Florida State's obviously a bust this year. I mean, Syracuse looked good. Cal McCord threw for 340 on these guys, had over 130 yards rushing. So if anything, the Georgia Tech defense, it's not going to get any easier this week when it comes from a play concept. Braum's one of the best.
And I also wonder if that number's high because, Louisville hasn't had to show a lot, and they're coming off a bye week. So Braum's been in the lab with a pen and a pad trying to get this damn label off. Like, he's coming... He's going to bring whatever he needs to bring into this game. They've been able to look at this Georgia Tech team for an extra week, and there's one less week for them to look at Louisville with Tyler Shuck and what they want to do. And, you remember Ja'Cory Brooks, the transfer from Alabama, who's at Louisville now, is playing really well. They're really deep at running back. But defense last year was what, shockingly kind of set Louisville on this trajectory of, hey, man, like, these guys are legit. This isn't some offensive, juggernaut that just hopes to stop you. Where I'm worried for Georgia Tech, and you saw a little bit of this in the Florida State game, but you really saw it in the Syracuse game, is their ability on the perimeter to run. I don't know athletically if this Georgia Tech team is where they need to be speed-wise. Syracuse was able to get to the edge, hurt them a lot, and then make plays when they got to the perimeter. And it was like Georgia Tech guys weren't touching them until they were 7 or 8 yards down the field. Don't think for a second, if Braum knows that you're slow to the edge, he's not going to gut you with what Tyler Shuck can do in his ability. So I'm interested to see how Santucci in this 4-2-5, the DC for Georgia Tech, tries to kind of help his guys out. Because you're not getting any new players right now. Like, this isn't the NFL. There's not any free agents you can go pick up that can just run. And you don't get healthier typically as the year goes. So Georgia Tech offensively, though, I think we know who they are. Haynes King is complete. You talk about making a jump. This guy not only did it last year, coming from A&M to Georgia Tech, wowed us. Him and Graham Mertz were the two most surprising quarterbacks with the success they had, I thought, compared to what I thought they were going to be. Last year, Haynes King, 75% completion percentage. I think he has 6 touchdowns, 1 interception, almost 1,000 yards passing, and he's killing people on the ground. He kept Georgia Tech in that Syracuse game with his ability to run. So that adds another element with him and Haynes and some of the weapons that Georgia Tech has, and then that offensive line that's very veteran, led by an offensive line guy at head coach in Brent Key. How much is Louisville able to stop Haynes King from the design run?
Yeah.
And then when the play breaks down, the scramble, because I think Haynes, and we talked about this with Thomas Castellanos at Boston College, like, his thing was not having the catastrophic turnover when you have to create, when you have to improvise. Haynes, I thought, has done a really good job, and this is why his completion percentage is so high, of when he does decide, hey, I've got to improvise on this play, or I've got to leave the pocket, I've got to get out, keeping his eyes downfield and then deciding to run. Because, again, I've said it many times on the show, nothing scared me more as a defensive coach and as a defensive coordinator than when the play broke down. When I locked everything up and we felt good about it, but then it turns into a backyard play because it's called the scramble drill defensively. You got to stick to a man. It's zone until it's man. We always said that, but that's when stuff gets wonky because it goes against any teaching really in fundamentals that you have had or the plan for that play. So 10.5 feels high to me.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit nervous about the over in this game just because of Louisville's ability defensively. I don't think the Louisville TTP, right, would be a bad bet here. I need to see the number. Wouldn't be shocked if it was pretty high with what we saw from Georgia Tech against Syracuse. But I'm telling you right now, this is going to be a hell of a football game that nobody's talking about. And you're going to find out if there's a team in the ACC with Florida State being down, because Clemson, right, we feel like they're going to do well against NC State. We didn't bury Clemson after the Georgia game, and they flexed their muscle against App State a little bit. We know about FSU. There's a vacuum at the top of the ACC, and one of these teams, and you can throw Syracuse in there, I think, as well, and even Boston College in there as well, could end up filling that void. It's just who's it going to be.
I love this game plan that Buster Faulkner's had so far with Haynes King. And you talk about the ratio between scrambling and quarterback design run. I mean, they were countering Florida State to death.
Killed him with it.
And I think you're going to see a lot more of that. That's where he's had most of his success. There are similarities with Riley Leonard from that aspect with the way that Haynes King runs, to be honest. The 10 seems high to me, and you already heard what I said yesterday about the over and under. It was 58. I really like the under. It's already down a half point at 57.5 right now. But that one should be very telling in the direction, I think, that conference.
Yeah, do we worry about a backdoor cover here? I don't worry as much about a backdoor at 10.5.
I just worry more about,
right? It's 9.5 that scares me on the backdoor.
I worry even more about if Louisville just kind of is as efficient on offense as Syracuse was against Georgia Tech, just from start to finish. Yeah. That's what I would.
If I had to,
and Shuck can be.
Yeah, if I had to take a spread in this game, I would take Georgia Tech plus 10.5.
You like that?
If it gets down to 9.5, that's when the backdoor. That's when
the money lies.
All right, how about this one? Kansas State going and playing BYU on the road, 6.5 right now, actually, minus 6.5 Kansas State, and then 48.5 over under.
You know, your gut says go with Kansas State here because, you know, with BYU and Retzlaff, you watch the SMU game, how ugly that was. Even though BYU was able to stand up defensively, caught a couple breaks at the goal line, but that's the way the ball bounces. I think this is a great game for Avery Johnson to kind of show the world his consistency as a passer a little bit more. We talked about that. Can BYU stop the run game? Whether it's with Giddens, and remember, don't forget, Kansas State ran a punt back last week. I think Dylan Edwards was the one who ran the punt back. So there's some explosiveness on special teams as well. We know what Kleiman wants to do, but Kansas State is a different team at home than they are on the road, and weird things happen at Provo, and BYU's confident right now. And they got away with Retzlaff turning the ball over. It's can they avoid that? And if they do, I think they can stay in this game. But overall, I think Kansas State at the end is just going to have a little bit too much. But this is another kind of sneaky one. I believe it's at night too as well. This is a later game, I think. So it's one I'm going to be watching. And if BYU limits the turnovers, this one could be going into the fourth quarter with
9:30.
9:30, man.
That's night. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Definitely ain't AM. That's for sure. So I'm interested to see that one as well.
You like Kansas State in this one?
I don't know how you don't like Kansas State in this one. And I know, I mean, you against the Arizona, they look good. They look like Kansas State, and Arizona is just not some guys you're sending. They have NFL players on that offense, give me 7 points. I mean, their defense isn't great when it comes to Arizona, but I think Kansas State needs to come back and find their identity a little bit, and that's running the ball and playing what? That's playing defense. That's playing fundamental defense, and I don't think you saw that versus Tulane. We know who Avery Johnson is. Obviously, he needs to get better in the passing game, but what are you really scared of when it comes to BYU's offense? Retzlaff's a great piece, great quarterback. He's also leading in passing and rushing for this team. I don't think it'll be enough. I know it's a late game. I know it's at BYU. I just think Kansas State is too talented, especially at the quarterback position. And I trust Kansas State's defense from a fundamental standpoint a lot more than I trust BYU's. And you can base it off SMU. SMU's terrible. The SMU's, they are a mediocre football team this year. Okay? And I don't think we could base exactly what BYU did against SMU while you're about to go walk against a Kansas State team who's pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's just, again, where was that Tulane game? It was on the road. It's night games, late games, on the road. It sometimes, and the longer BYU has life in this game, the more trouble Kansas State is in. If we're watching in the first quarter and a half, I mean, they're 5-6 yards a pop talking about Kansas State. They're not going to put the ball in the air. Kleiman's a North Dakota State guy. They're going to run that thing until you make them stop it, which is going to limit turnovers and kind of limit the exposure of Avery Johnson, taking shots through the air and maybe keeping BYU in it. But as much as they rely on Retzlaff, he will turn the ball over.
Yep.
Like, that's the thing. And you cannot do that in this game. BYU's got to play really. You're not winning this game, I don't think, 18-15. I think Kansas State's going to score at least 24. And if that's the case, that BYU cannot survive with 2-3 turnovers, especially if it puts the defense in a field position problem against the Kansas State offense that's having success running.
Got to win third downs.
Got to win. Yeah,
if you're BYU, you got to win third downs at home.
You got to win them early.
All right, Arizona State going to go on the road and play Texas Tech. Arizona State undefeated right now, 3-0. Texas Tech 2-1. Cam Scatabo, is he everybody's favorite player in the country or just mine? I don't know. I'll let you go.
He's up there. This Texas Tech team, you killed North Texas, right? You dropped 66 against them. You survived Abilene Christian. You know, I talked about Baron Morton at the beginning of the year. Have they found themselves, right? Is that confidence going to carry over against an Arizona State team that Leavitt threw the ball pretty well and had to against Texas State? You know, we all squad rode Arizona State that game, and they won it, but they didn't win it the way we thought they were going to win it because they've been a team that's downhill. They want to get it to Scatabo, limit Leavitt throwing the ball. But now, since he showed Dillingham, hey, not only can I throw it when you need me to, and he can run. He's a sneaky runner. I mean, the man's actually got some jets on him. I did it on the road in a hostile environment. So if I can do it at Texas State, and I'm not saying Texas Tech and Texas State are the same thing, but if I can do it on the road at Texas State, why would Dillingham not feel better about the offensive balance of this Arizona State team going to play Texas Tech, which helps who out the most? Scatabo, right? I think it's a great opportunity for Texas Tech to show us defensively, right? Not saying Arizona State's the greatest offense of all time. I really love their tight end, talking about Arizona State's. But can they show improvement to say, listen, the first couple weeks, that really wasn't us. This is who we are now. And I love this match. This is a hard game to pick. Like, going off the cuff, I think it was at 3. Arizona State was a 3-point underdog the last time I saw it.
It opened at Texas Tech -2.5. Right now, it's -3 even.
It's -3 even. This is a game I would not bet. This is a game I'm going to watch just for information. This is an information game for me for Texas Tech. I'm not going to put any money on it, but it's another great opportunity for a gutsy Arizona State team to go get a win on a road to really put them even further ahead of schedule than they already are after Dillingham inherited that absolute mess from Herm Edwards and Antonio Pierce and some other people with what happened at Arizona State.
I really like this Arizona State team. I like the style.
It's hard, David. It's hard not to. How do you not like it?
They have on their team, man. I like their identity. And Texas State's a really good team, man. Texas State's a good team. That was a good win, and they held Scatabo in check.
They were down 21-7.
They held him in check. Leavitt said, look, I can put the football through the air and help win games. So I feel really good right now about the direction that Arizona State is headed in on offense. My question for this one is, the Arizona State defense, like if Texas Tech really starts scheming up a lot of stuff.
Scrappy, man.
How can they hold up against Texas?
I mean, there's a scrappy group. If you're going to do anything, you can get beat between the 20s, but in the red zone, you have to bow up and give up field goals, especially Texas Tech. Look, are they going to shred you through the air? Probably, but I haven't seen a semblance of a running game from Texas Tech. And look, Arizona State right now, I mean, get on the train because they're a walking cover. A walking cover they have covered every single week. But I don't know why at this point you can get them at +3.5 and go off of that money line at +140 against a team that we really don't know yet in Texas Tech. I love Coach McGuire. I'm sure he'll get it right. But Arizona State wants to run the football at you and want to stop the run. It's just like what Jake says, right? Rebounding what? It travels, man. Running the football travels. And if you can do that, you'll be in mostly every game. So I love Arizona State.
And we always say good teams win. Great teams cover, right?
True.
So if you're going to the Arizona State-Texas Tech game, you may be going anywhere across the country this weekend. There's some great football in this slate. If you're going to buy tickets, you need to take the guesswork out of it. We all know how awesome live sporting events are. We may be at one here soon, but what makes the game even better is getting the best deal to go to that game, and that's why you need the Game Time app. It's a fast and easy way to get tickets online, and with their new feature called Game Time Picks, getting tickets for your favorite live event just got easier because it filters out all the BS to show you the incredible deals on great seats so you don't waste time. We're always trying to be the most efficient we possibly can be, and that's where Game Time helps out. So whether it's Tennessee, Oklahoma, Arizona State, Texas Tech, heck, even Ohio State and Marshall, maybe they'll bring some of those Tudor's biscuits up there. You need to make sure and download the Game Time app. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets. So here's how you do it. You go to your app store, download the Game Time app, create an account, really easy, and use code BOOSTER, BOOSTER, for $20 off your first purchase. Again, download the app, create an account, redeem code BOOSTER, BOOSTER, for $20 off, because why not? You save money and you can find great seats. Download Game Time today. We all know what time it is. It's game time, baby. All right, the phone lines are going to open here in about 7 minutes. Let's get to a little rapid fire here quickly.
All right, rapid fire. First one up, Quinn Ewers' status this weekend still up in the air, but Steve Sarkisian was saying what? Nothing will change?
Nothing will change, and I think he meant from the way they're going to call the game and prepare. Not that, Arch is just as good as Quinn. He's not going to come out and say that, one's better than the other. For Texas to win a national championship, they need Quinn Ewers at quarterback. Arch Manning, his time is coming. He's shown, things that he can do already. If you're a Texas fan, this is a great scenario. And it's La Monroe. We love our guy, Bryant Vincent. But if you were going to have a minor injury for Quinn Ewers, which he does seemingly every year, this would be the time to do it. You got La Monroe and then Mississippi State. It's going to give Arch some good scratch to get in there and play, get some more stuff on tape. But as far as Texas, doing the things that they need, having the personnel out there to win a national championship, to win the SEC, and then get to the playoff and hopefully win a national championship, you need Quinn Ewers out there.
Arch Manning, step up, win the championship.
I mean, look, the prodigal son returns, and he looked damn good doing it. I mean, the aura on this kid's plus 1,000 every time he walks out here. The only thing I worry about when it comes to Texas, when one thing starts going wrong in a big game, when do you hear those Arch Manning chants? Do you think that'll come up? Because if Quinn starts falling apart in a big game, and we've seen Quinn make mistakes in a big game, after Arch isn't ready yet to take him to the top. But God, man, they put him in. You could feel it, couldn't you?
Yeah.
You could feel it in the air. The fans.
That was the loudest the stadium got when he
bust a 62-yard run, cooked a safety, and looked like pretty good. Arch is going to be a problem, but he's not ready yet to go against the big dog.
But this is not worst case scenario for Texas. This could be a win-win because Quinn being healthy, getting ready for the stretch run. Not that you take anybody lightly, but if you're a Texas fan, it's going to be an intriguing week.
And if anything, it's great for you. Like, these experience and these snaps for Arch are really good, especially if you play
high-class problems, for sure. All right, next one up here. Urban Meyer was asked if he would take the head coaching job at Florida. He said, quote, that ship has sailed, but there are some reports, maybe just Blaine's tweet, but that John Gruden might take the Florida job. What do you think, boys?
I tell you what.
Is that just you doing that?
I don't know, Dave.
Didn't he say he'd go back to college?
Did he say college specifically?
I think Gruden said something about it. I don't know if those reports were confirmed. Maybe somebody in the chat can help me out there. I think Urban's waiting on Notre Dame. I'm just telling you, man. Because, hey, look, I'm sorry. You're forgiven. You know how that rolls. Notre Dame.
You just picture that in Gainesville, though?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Spider 2, white banana.
Spider 2, white banana.
Gainesville. He's a nickel. If you love football, then you love this guy.
Beachley. I tell you what.
Could he recruit?
What did he say? It's John Gruden.
Could he recruit?
Is he going to go hit the recruiting?
Yeah, I tell you what. Mettenberger, Roethlisberger. I just love burgers.
And he's kind of got that personality a little bit.
I think he'd be a great fit. Now, it's week 4. Billy's still there, but it's Gruden. I don't think Florida fans would be pissed about that. Let's just put it that way.
No. All right, next one up here. Dabo Swinney, is he one of us?
Okay. We give Dabo a hard time for the cringy stuff. Let me introduce you, and maybe the evolution is happening to new age Dabo. Dabo, tell them about YouTube TV.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, I am a big YouTube TV guy now. All right, I finally figured out how to get that freaking app on my phone. It's like a act of Congress.
Thank you.
You got to have like birth certificates and all kind of stuff to get some of these things. I don't know all these codes from, who's your provider. It's some crazy stuff on there. But anyway, I got the YouTube TV, and man, it was awesome. I had my phone going. I had my iPad going with 4 screen, and I had the TV going. I would imagine some of y'all probably did the same thing.
Yeah.
I like that Dabo.
Likeable Dabo.
YouTube TV, next step, transfer portal.
See,
is this the start? Right? Is this just the creaking of the door? Hey, Dad, you remember the time I told you about the quad box and you really loved it? Let's talk transfer.
Let's go get players.
Who would have thought that YouTube TV would be the key to Dabo opening up into the world?
And if I'm YouTube TV, I'm calling the Clemson Athletic Department. Hey, let's talk a little bit about NIL, which can be used for what, David?
Getting players.
From the
transfer portal.
Yes.
Wow.
New Dabo.
Now Dabo knows
New
what it's like
Dabo.
when you have a 4-box, and one of those boxes are Georgia Clemson. And then you have to sit there and watch that.
No, he's not watching.
The most important part of that was not he likes the quad box. You'd have to be an alien not to. It was how difficult it is to sign into YouTube TV, which is a real thing. I don't need to see a QR code. Can I just put in my password? Stop giving me the QR code, all right?
Yeah.
I might have to change up
Get
the
off my lawn
today. Air Force emerging as an AAC candidate. You've been talking about that.
Man, this would be awesome. I think the American Conference should do it, right? Well, why not? You look, some of the other service academies are in a conference, and you don't got to worry about anybody invading you. You control the air. At the end of the day, TV deal, we're having problems with ESPN. Oh, wait, let me call the Air Force, right? Why is a Tomahawk missile circling the headquarters right now? No, in all seriousness, this would be great. I think they need to do it. I hope it happens. What Mike Orasco's done as commissioner of that conference, I got a lot of respect for him as well. This would be cool, man. Join one. Get in there. Get up in there.
More of a Navy guy myself.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
All right.
You
don't go past knee deep in the water.
Would you?
No. Navy guy.
We've all seen.
They're on boats.
Okay.
It's different.
Oh, okay.
All right, last one up here. Bring up the big boy QB. Big boy, don't try and put him at left tackle. He's playing quarterback. There he is, the Junior Bills.
Play it.
Junior Bills, but the Big Mac.
Let me see him move around.
Even in the teachers Friday night, they said they didn't.
Okay, look at that. That's a natural throwing ability.
Quick release.
Look, I watched Jared Lorenzen ball. Okay, that kind of stuff.
Style.
You see it. Look at the footwork.
Look at that
right here.
Some RP. Look at that.
I'd just be getting downhill. You talk about the tush push. You didn't even need somebody to push him.
How big is he? Do we have the thumbnail?
Someone get this monster's hand in the ground. What are we doing?
You see that quick release?
I don't care. Quick release to McDonald's. You're a tackle now. Congrats. No, not happening, dog. We're this bad? We're this bad.
Oh,
holy crap. Jamarcus Russell ate himself 7 times. He's back.
Blaine said, could somebody put his hand in the ground, please? That's exactly what he's going to be doing. But I will say, if I'm a coach watching this, if you're athletic enough to play quarterback at that size, let me see you. Let's get on the sled a couple times. Let me see you hit it. And I don't know, maybe there'll be a scholarship ball for waiting in your locker. Maybe something else. Maybe a Big Mac. Maybe fries. Maybe both.
Oh, you can eat biscuits.
Eat them.
From where? Where was it?
Shooters? I'm surprised he even committed to more.
That boy got on the scale and said, to be continued.
Yeah. All right, quickly, before we get to calls here, I do want to get to the chat real quick.
Oh, okay. Let me get in here.
Yeah,
sorry, I was having fun in the video. All right, let's go to T. Orzek. What's up, brother? He says, right now, I have Arizona bet every single week, fellas. I think I'm going to ride it against this week. Texas State, good, but not great.
So Arizona State bet, not Arizona. Big difference there. Yeah, look, if you've bet Arizona State, they've been covering, right? They've been covering.
All right, let's go to Wilk_17. Brother, how are we doing right now? He says, guys, loving the show. Just hit the subscribe button. Appreciate it. David, question for you. Right now, do you trust Michigan's defense with Wink bringing all this pressure on 3rd and long?
Not really, and it's not even 3rd and long right now. Like I was saying, under Jesse Minter and Mike McDonald, I think the percentage of blitzing was 29%, which put them about 50th.
Because you didn't have to.
48, something like that. And I still don't think they have to, because that's the strength of the team, is that front 4 and the front 7. Now they're up to 50% blitz rate, I think.
God.
And it would be a thing if the back end wasn't getting exposed, I wouldn't be complaining about it. I'm just watching linebackers get lost in zone coverage right now.
And I'm not. And again, I would never try and tell Wink Martindale, like, dude, what you're doing is wrong. But it feels like you're doing too much. Like you're doing too much. You've got elite players on it. Just the less you have to funnel to make up for something else. I mean, a defensive coordinator's dream is just to rush 4. Honestly, it's to rush 3 and get.
Now, you're a defensive coach, all right? Now, if you had 3 Will Johnsons instead of 1 running around in the back end, but you weren't that efficient up front at getting pressure on the quarterback or even stopping the run, then you would bring more pressure, right?
Without a doubt. It's just like on offense. If I can't run the ball, I've got to throw it. But if I can run the ball, I'm going to run it more than I throw it. So, yeah, it's you don't have to do that much when you have those type players. Now, in the NFL where everything is so much more even, you do have guys that are riskier because it's hard to just play straight up and win in that league. But, you have bigger advantages at Michigan in college against a lot of teams that you're playing than you did in the NFL. So that's a real thing.
All right, let's go to Arlen Wright. Arlen, what's up? He says, Manning just lacks the experience right now. The snaps he gets now does make him better for the next season. Do you think he will be a Heisman finalist next year?
Next year, I think he's going to have to, just like Notre Dame making the playoff, he's going to have to play his way out of it. They want Arch Manning to be a Heisman finalist, so if it's even close, they're going to send him to New York. But these snaps are invaluable. It's high, even though it's La Monroe and then a Mississippi State team that's rebuilding with Jeff Lebby. This is a great learning experience, and it's good tape for Arch. And I'm wondering how much Sark is going to give him on his plate. I know he said nothing's going to change, but I don't think you got to go out there and pull out the wand against La Monroe. You can probably get in there and run peanut butter and jelly and be okay. But how much does he want to get on tape for Arch to be able to learn from and take into that practice and going into next year? Because these snaps, they are invaluable. But something else that's invaluable, before we get off my lawn, is being responsible. All right, we pick a responsible man of the week. All right, we've had Brian Vincent, we've had Clark Lee. Now we're going to go Mike Elko. Mike Elko, responsible man of the week, Texas A&M, being able to snap that road streak, 10 straight losses on the road for A&M. You go beat a Florida team that's obviously down right now. But to be responsible, you got to take care of yourself. You can't say, oh, I'm eating my Wheaties, I'm good. All right, man, we don't get all the vitamins and nutrients we need. That's why the Responsible Man multivitamin is packed with 33 key ingredients that support your immune system, sharpen your brain, and keep your heart and muscles strong. So if you don't feel like you're getting the nutrients you need, I promise you, you're probably not. I know I'm not, but since I've taken this, I am. It gives you peace of mind. My wife's excited about it, and right now, you can take advantage of Responsible Man's fall sale and get 30% off your order, plus an additional $9 off your first order. Just head over to responsibleman.com, use code BOOSTER, BOOSTER at checkout. But hurry, this deal's not going to last long. We need strong and responsible men. You need to take care of yourself, take care of your body, and it's got a minty flavor.
Tastes great.
Like I said, these aren't, a lot of vitamins, they smell awful. It's like you found them inside of an orc.
Doesn't smell like an urgent care when you open it.
That's exactly right. It's easy, and it'll get you where you need to go. That's responsibleman.com. Use code BOOSTER for 30% off, plus $9 off your first order. Be the man your team needs you to be, like Mike Elko. Be the responsible man of the game and play Marcel Reed. All right, before we get to the phone lines and then back to the chat. It's Wednesday. There's a lawn that needs getting off of. You don't know David's really an 80. He's basically Clint Eastwood from Gran Torino. David, who is slowly walking up to you and G'ing off your L today?
Reporters asking professional athletes to weigh in on political candidates need to get off my lawn. That's right. Last week, Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes was asked his opinion on former President Donald Trump mentioning his name on television, to which Mahomes gave a phenomenal response that I would encourage all to watch. Well, this was followed up a few days later with WNBA star Caitlin Clark getting asked why she liked the social media post by Taylor Swift and if she would endorse Kamala Harris. We get it. There's an election coming up. The whole country seems to be on edge. But this is high school cafeteria type behavior, and I, for one, find it unprofessional. Now, I understand there is a line of thinking that once athletes become celebrities and public figures, they are fair game for any question. But this seems to be another negative side effect of modernity. There was a time, and it wasn't that long ago, when people didn't discuss politics or religion in public. Perhaps we should get back to that. Perhaps we should stop trying to incessantly entangle sports and politics. Perhaps we should send reporters to ball games to report on the ball games. I'd love to know Patrick's thought process on scatter to west, right, tight, F left, 372, Y stick, Z spot against Bark Fire Zone. But instead, I get to hear if he and Travis are going to wear matching pink onesies to the voting booth. Now, personally, I've always been transparent as possible when it comes to politics or religion because I enjoy learning and growing through the act of conversation and those sorts of discussions. And for the players or coaches who consent to engage in those arenas, such as Bruce Pearl or Steve Kerr, that's great. They are fair game to question and to criticize. But there are thousands of athletes just trying to go to work and do their jobs. And the reporters trying to drag political endorsements from them for clickbait articles need to get off my lawn.
Yeah, Dave, get them off your lawn, Dave.
100%.
I'm sick of it.
If you talk about it, you can get asked about it. If not, nobody got time for that. But I thought Mahomes' answer was perfect.
And Caitlin Clark.
And Caitlin Clark.
Good.
Like, vote for who you want to vote for. Like, I'm here. Let's talk about the game.
Yeah.
It's like, this isn't, this isn't a council meeting. Like, I'm 100%, I think most of America agrees with you. And again, what you do on your own time, you do on your own time. And if that opens you up to those questions, obviously you want to talk about it. So you're inviting it in, but it shouldn't be something that's just thrust to somebody trying to put them on the spot. That's what they're trying to do. And it's just, it's out of place. I agree with you 100%, man.
Like in social media posts?
Oh, I know. It's past beyond stupid. But no, that's right on. All right. Let's get to the phone lines.
All right, let's go to Jordan in Boise. Jordan, what's up?
Hey, boys. How you doing?
Jordan, what's up, man?
Jordan.
Listen, first things first, totally agree with you on the whole politics and sports thing, Tom. That was well said.
Thank you.
Second, I was wondering if you guys could help settle a debate between a friend of mine and I.
Okay.
So we both watched the first Eagles game between the Eagles and the Packers, and Saquon Barkley, triple digits on the ground, 3 touchdowns. I'm like, hey man, that was a pretty great performance. My friend, on the other hand, said, that performance was kind of mid. And I was like, what are you talking about? You sound insane. He was saying he basically did the same thing on the Giants, and everybody was saying he's going to do so much better on the Eagles. Everything's going to be great. So if he did the same thing on the Eagles as he did with the Giants, then, it was kind of mid. I was wondering what your guys' thoughts were. Is this man as delusional as I thought?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to compare the Eagles' offensive line to the Giants' offensive line and say that it's going to be the same, then, I'm 2 steps away from calling the cops. I just think you don't like Saquon Barkley. Not saying that, he's going to turn into the greatest running back ever of all time, and it's not just the offensive line. It's the Eagles have so many more weapons around him that you have to defend a lot more than just Saquon Barkley, as opposed to when you played the Giants. You stop Saquon Barkley, you stop the Giants. So, I think your buddy just doesn't like Saquon Barkley.
Well, I mean, now that you say that, I am an Eagles fan, hence the reason that I took that position. He's a Giants fan.
Yeah, well, there you go.
So that...
You don't have, this isn't a Scooby-Doo episode. You don't have to pull a mask off and be like, oh, it was you the whole time. No, that lines up, Jordan. But I tell you what, Jalen Hurts needs to play better. I do know that.
Yeah. Dude, that game hurt.
That game
you know what hurts?
Sucked.
You don't know what hurts? When you lose by 2 in fantasy because Sirianni doesn't want to kick a field goal in the first quarter when it's 4th and 5. Millions of dollars.
Doing too much.
Appreciate it, Jordan. Thank you, man. All right, let's go to Jake in Huntsville. Jake, talk to us.
What's going on, guys?
Jake, what's up, man?
Not much. Had a question about a bet I've got for a 4-leg parlay to make the college football playoff, and I want to see what y'all think.
All right, hit me with it.
All right, Miami to make the playoff. USC to make the playoff, Memphis to make the playoff, and Oklahoma State. And it's plus 10,200.
What'd you put on it?
20.
Not a boy.
Oklahoma State makes me nervous.
Yeah.
We'll find out this weekend, though.
Yeah. And I don't hate that. What? Here's right now, do we feel better about, and let's just take Notre Dame out of it.
Okay.
Do we feel better about the ACC getting 2 teams in or the Big 12 getting 2 teams in? Because I think Miami makes it, obviously. Memphis was my pick to make it before the season, so I agree with you there, and they got past, a bad Florida State team. And then you said the other one was USC, which if they win this weekend, you got at least as an at-large, I mean, that's 2 pretty decent wins under your belt that if there's a bubble watch at the end of the year, you'd have to feel good about. I don't hate that.
Does a 10-2 Oklahoma State team get
That's going to be... Does a 10-2 Oklahoma State team get over a 10-2 Clemson team? That's the question I think you got to ask
Before
yourself.
the season, I felt better about the Big 12 getting multiple teams in.
Yeah.
Now I'm 50-50 on it after watching Oklahoma State play, especially the way they played against Arkansas. And again, they'll play Utah this weekend and follow that up with a trip on the road to Kansas State.
And we got to see Georgia's got to play better, but that Clemson loss against Georgia is not going to look – that's about as good of a loss as you're going to see at the end of the year.
Jake, I think this is a great bet, a great $20 bet. But if I could say anything, I would make the same bet, okay, and I would switch Oklahoma State and Utah, all right, and see how much that drop your odds. But the only thing I worry about in that bet really is Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
Yeah, the odds would drop from 10,000 to 5,000.
Yeah, well, which, I mean, again, what happens if you switch Oklahoma State and Clemson, though?
That I do not know.
That's the one I would look at.
That's a good one to look at.
That's the one I would look at.
Yeah.
Great call, man. Appreciate it.
Stuff, Jake.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
see you guys.
All right, see you, man. Thank you. Great stuff. All right, let's go to Kevin in Nebraska. Kevin, what's going on, man?
Hey, guys. How's it going?
What's up, Kev?
Good. So pretty excited here. It's the first time I've called in. I've been listening to you guys for a while. Really
Thanks, man.
appreciate everything you guys are doing there. And just, I guess what I want to talk about is kind of the excitement I'm feeling now around the Husker team and how things are looking. Plus, this Friday night, our 400th consecutive sellout, so that's going to be a pretty wild time at the stadium. Wow. It's going to be a blast. And I just kind of wonder, David, you with your experience at quarterback, what are your thoughts kind of on Dylan Raiola so far in the first 3 games that we've seen him?
I think he looks really good, man. I think we've been talking about it all offseason as he's one of the young quarterbacks to emerge. He looks poised in the pocket. I think he's everything that we thought he could be. And when we talk about Arch Manning might not quite be there just yet in his second year, right? This is his second year on campus. To be able to lead Texas to a national championship, it's even more amazing to watch what Dylan Raiola is doing or guys like Nico at such a young age being forced to step in and win.
Well, Kevin, I would say a couple things, and we've been on the Nebraska train since the offseason. One of the worries I had, though, because all I heard was how mature Raiola was, and, you look back at the amount of times he transferred high schools, right? And that was kind of a red flag for a lot of people, right? Is this a guy that maybe in the locker room's a problem, or do we have a, whatever old boy's name from draft day, Bo whatever, Callahan whatever, was it that type of deal? And I have been so impressed with the maturity level, obviously, and it's easier when you're winning, but when you watch the way that Nebraska team responds to him, you can tell he has that locker room, not just because he's a good player, but because he understands, and maybe this is what happens when you grew up in a football family and guys that, have played and been in those locker rooms. His ability and his maturation process, and I think you're going to continue to see this just get better. He's not going to get worse. He's only going to get better. I don't think, even if for some reason, if Nebraska were to not be able to run the ball against Illinois, which they should, because Illinois hadn't stopped the run yet, he's a guy, even at this young and at this level, I would trust putting the ball in his hands and saying, Dylan, go beat Illinois on a Friday night in front of a packed house. So if you're a Nebraska fan, as much as you get excited about watching him throw off platform, as much as you get excited about watching the accuracy and his ability to have touch and then throw the fastball, I would be, and I'm sure Matt Rule and them agree with this, I would be just as excited about how mature he looks playing the position. If you didn't know who Dylan Raiola was, if you didn't know what year he was, and you flew in from Jupiter and landed in Earth, and I put on the tape and I asked you, what year is this quarterback? You would not say freshman. And that is the best compliment I think you can give a young
That's very true. Appreciate it, Kevin.
Yeah, you bet. You guys have a good one.
And congrats on the 400 consecutive sellouts, man.
That's nuts. Kevin, thanks for calling in.
Yeah,
buddy.
great
It's good to
call,
hear
Kevin.
from
I
you.
just wish you'd stop cosplaying Patrick Mahomes. That's
I keep doing it, please. Play like Patrick Mahomes.
We're going to try and get Will Compton in, obviously, to be our guest picker one day. We need to ask him about that.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure Will will agree with me.
You think so?
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll ask Will. Appreciate it, Kevin. All right, let's go to Pokey Texan in Texas. Pongo alert, boys. Pokey, what's up?
Oh, guys, I got to ask Blaine something about while we were all watching college football. What is with Garrett Cole giving a 4-finger wave with bases empty to Rafael Devers the other day? And does that make him the worst Bruin pitcher ever?
I mean, look, half the battle with Garrett Cole is just getting him on the mound.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. Whatever he does when he's as long as he can throw 90+ and that slider is still disgusting, I don't care what you do. As long as his ass is just there, best ability is availability. We pay that guy enough money, just be out there. I don't care what else you do. It's the Yankees. It's Garrett Cole. Who knows?
How does it feel to be a fan of the same team as Keith Olbermann?
No, I've never thought of killing you before, but it's just for some reason, right when you brought that up, it just popped in my mind.
Oh, man.
So anyway, I really called because I've been trying to get to you guys since I was at the Pokes Razorbacks game.
God, that was nuts.
Man, I thought the whole place was going to absolutely riot after that offsides turned to false start debacle.
The disconcerting signals.
We have to, and I'm so glad you brought this up. I'm not trying to interrupt you, but we got to figure this out, okay? Because look, Georgia did this a lot. They move pre-snap. The whole defensive line moves pre-snap. Refs don't know whether to call this offsides on the defense or offsides on the offense. I've seen it happen multiple times and get it called both ways.
Well, here's the problem I have, and you can say, Jake, you're a defensive guy. I hear on one hand you can't make an abrupt movement. What?
Yeah.
Like, what if I'm running up to blitz and then stop? Like, what do you mean an abrupt move? You should be able to stem the defensive line. If it's one guy or if it's four guys. Hell, sometimes the linebacker's got to go bump the 3-tech to get into the right gap. But the part that pisses me off the most is if I'm not allowed at linebacker to say move or clap my hands, why the hell are you allowed to hard count us?
Yeah.
Why is an offense allowed to say hut and not snap the ball? That's that. If we're trying to, it's going to be even Stevens, right? You already got targeting. It's impossible for an offensive player to target. Yet I put my face in a guy's hamstring when he jumps in there to catch the ball, and y'all call that on the defense. So they need to figure. There doesn't need to be any disconcerting signals like that. That doesn't even need to be a thing. You need to understand who your quarterback is, and if the defense is talking, well, they're allowed to talk.
Yeah.
Like, that's not just a defensive position, because I agree with you completely. Yeah. Like, unless you're entering the neutral zone, the defense can move and move fast. That's the whole point of football. Anything short of really saying the other team's cadence. And to be honest, there's an element of that where I kind of revert to the Connor Stallions thing, which is if your team's trying to gain an advantage some type of way, clapping or doing some sort of, then the defense has a right to gain an advantage doing what they need to do.
I agree. You know the snap count. Offensive players know the snap count.
Yeah, even if you say it once, like even if the defense goes, hut, and it's on 2, buddy, you know it's on 2. And you're looking at the defense. When I'm playing on the line, I'm not doing this. My eyes are not down. I am here. Now, you're taught not to look where you're going because that gives it away, and that's what defensive guys look for. But this is the stupidest thing ever.
As long as you don't enter the neutral zone.
As long as you don't enter the neutral zone.
You enter the neutral zone and the offensive line moves, that's offsides.
Absolutely.
That's offsides. Appreciate it.
Which, hold on. Can I make this last point? You can actually move into the neutral zone and then get back, and it not be a penalty.
Yes, but if the offensive line moves while you're in the neutral zone,
then that is a penalty.
Then we can't call that false.
But that's an abrupt movement. Like, you're going to say an abrupt movement is me stemming the defensive line, yet you're going to allow me to go past the line of scrimmage, and if nobody moves, get back, and it's not a penalty.
That's wild.
That's wild.
So the defense right now can't move if they stay onsides, but could literally go high-five the quarterback. Well, I guess you can't touch him.
You can't touch him.
You can go over and get back.
Yeah, great call.
Great call, man.
And especially like conference to conference.
Shout out to David Taylor, Oklahoma State wrestling coach, making Team USA.
Yeah.
He deserves it, and hope he brings us back to prominence in Stillwater, too. Appreciate you guys.
Hey, Pokey,
bro.
thanks, buddy.
Great call, man.
Appreciate it. All right, let's go to Kenny in Cheyenne. Kenny, what's up?
Hey, afternoon, fellas. How y'all doing?
Kenny, what's up?
Hey, David, I got to say, the get off my lawn, perfect, brother. That was amazing.
Oh, thank you, man.
So, real quick, I don't know if y'all know this. We got a pretty big game in Norman on Saturday night.
Yeah.
But early practice reports coming out right now are talking about Nick Anderson is going to play. We'll have to see the availability report tonight. But there's also our starting center, Hickman, and our 2 starting guards are looking to be probable as well. They're practicing this week. Does that move the needle Saturday night for y'all? Because I know that you guys have basically written the book on OU that night.
It's not going to hurt. I don't think enough people have talked about Oklahoma's, skill. We all worry about the line of scrimmage, right? Because we know that's the heart of the body, the engine of the car. But Oklahoma's been beat up on the outside. I mean, Deion's been out there, but you guys have been missing some of the pieces. You brought up Nick Anderson. I am interested to see, when you have backups in there, has the chemistry that Jackson Arnold formed with those backups, does he have the same with the guys that are starters or even better? You would assume it would be better, but he has played in more games with those guys than he has the other guys. So it's an interesting dynamic. But, I mean, Kenny, it can't hurt having your better players out there, right, and having more weapons. I hope it's a good game. I really do. I still think Tennessee's going to win and most likely cover, but it never hurts having your better players out there, whether they be skill guys or big skill guys, as we call them.
Yeah, and that's the question too, right? The rust, right? Like those guys coming back. Hickman got hurt second series of the first game. Farouk, he's not going to be back, but you talk about the skill positions. He broke his foot in the first quarter of the first game.
God.
Like it's not been fun from a triage, just mash unit, especially on that offensive side of the ball. And then last week we had two secondary starters that weren't in the game. They're starting to look like they're probable, especially our corner that's coming back. So there's some really good news kind of coming out of the OU camp when it comes to the injury front, because I feel like as an OU fan and somebody that's, watched each game and watching position groups, you can just tell it's almost like the season hasn't even gotten started for that OU offense. So it's bright spots that I'm hoping kind of changes the outlook of that game and makes it, really competitive. Also got to say, from an OU fan, Josh Heupel, we love him. He is, kind of the savior of OU football in the early 2000s. So he'll always have a special place in our heart. But I guarantee you we will not be quiet when his offense is on there.
Yeah, and you shouldn't be. And you shouldn't be. I will say, though, injuries happen. You never want them. But you can catch breaks when they happen. And in this first 3-game stretch, I would much rather be getting guys back right now than losing guys in this game going forward with what y'all have coming up.
Appreciate it, Kenny.
Appreciate it,
for a great ball game.
Boomer.
Hopefully we'll get a great ball game on Saturday, and I hope that's how most of Oklahoma fans feel about Josh Heupel. I hope that's how most of Nebraska fans feel about Scott Frost.
Yeah.
Like after you've delivered as a player, even if you came up short as a coach,
You've got to be able to compartmentalize.
Right,
things,
exactly.
Right? You got to be able to.
All right, let's go to Steve in Ohio. Steve, what's going on, man? Hey,
what's up, bud?
My God, it's been so long since I've been able to get through.
It's been a minute.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good. I'm calling about the Booster Club tailgate, which before we know it, it's going to be here.
It will be.
It always, man, the season always flies.
And I've got a trivia board for you that's going to knock your socks off.
Hey, Steve, I'm getting them this year. I promise you that. I've just been doing push-ups and looking in the mirror.
Can you send me the questions in advance of the debate? Oh, that's a whole different.
Yeah. Send ABC.
But yeah, I'm going to have you guys playing for Buckeyes.
Let's do it, baby. Let's do it. How you feel about the Marshall game this weekend?
Oh, that's our foregone conclusion. I don't even have to worry about it.
You're probably right.
Must be nice.
Yeah,
Georgia felt the same way.
Nice.
Georgia felt the same way. How you feel about your players getting recruited for all-you-can-eat Shooter's Biscuits?
If they can have the biscuits and stay at Ohio State, I'll be happy with it.
Yeah, listen, I think Ryan Day, for some of those guys, would drive down to Huntington and get some and bring them back.
Oh, man.
Hey, but Steve, we'll see you at the tailgate, buddy. Excited to see you again.
Yeah, I'm also going to have a trivia board for the Booster Club also.
Let's go, man. Can't wait.
Smart thinking, Steve. Thanks for calling, brother.
Steve, it's always good to hear from you.
I know.
From Ohio.
Appreciate it, man. All right, let's go to Nathan in Nashville. Nathan, what's going on?
Boys, how we doing?
What's up, Nate?
Basically, I know we already had a Tennessee-Oklahoma conversation. Basically, I'm a Tennessee alum. I'm planning on putting the rent on Tennessee this weekend. I just want to know my risk of homelessness.
Well, are you getting them at 7.5 or 6.5?
I got it at 7.5.
Okay.
It's crazy you bring this up because I might also be putting the rent on Tennessee this weekend, so we can be homeless together.
Well, guess what? I will not be putting the rent on this game, but if you need a place to stay, I got you, Nathan. And you're in Nashville, so you won't have to drive that far.
6.5, Nathan. 6.5. The keys to freedom.
I hear you. Thanks, boys.
All right, man. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. All right, let's go to Cameron in Florida. Cameron, talk to us.
Yo, Cameron.
Yes.
Cameron.
Hey, bud.
Say something.
Hey.
Oh, there you are.
I was just wondering your thought on the Chiefs and Falcons game.
You talking about the one that's coming up?
Yeah.
It's in Atlanta, right?
Look at them. It is.
I want to say
it's in Atlanta.
It's in Atlanta.
Yeah. It's in Atlanta.
Yeah. It's hard to ever bet against the
right
Chiefs. I know the Falcons beat the Eagles, and I picked the Falcons to win the NFC South. They just have not looked good offensively for most of the year. And I think, you look at Kansas City playing, inside. I don't know. I got to go with
Big Kirko. Big Kirko stay dripping.
Well, listen. But you're going up against Sauron.
And guess who Sauron just got back?
Who?
Kareem Hunt.
Well, I'd rather have Pacheco. I hate to see him go out. I'm going to take the Chiefs now. I'm going to wait for that number until Sunday to see what that number's at, Cameron. But I tell you, Falcons, it's
right now it opened at 5. Chiefs right now it's sitting at 3.5.
Wow.
Bet down over under 46.5.
What are you taking?
Do we like the under there?
I'll probably buy the Chiefs down to 2.5.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't get in the business of betting against the Chiefs.
Yeah, that's a bad business to be in. It's a bad business to be in, Cameron.
Appreciate it, Cameron.
Great call, Cam.
Calling, man. All right, let's go to Michael in Alabama. Michael, talk to us.
Hey, Jake.
What's up?
What does Hank Brown need to do against Arkansas to take the next step this weekend?
Well, dude, he did last week. Make good decisions. I mean, and when the game gets sped up, because it's going to be sped up this weekend against Arkansas compared to what it was against New Mexico, you can't make the catastrophic mistake just trying to stay on schedule. The thing Auburn has to do is be able to run the ball with success, because if they're able to do that, it's going to make life a hell of a lot easier for Hank Brown and give him even more confidence going forward. But getting that start out of the way, and it's not just playing on the field, it's knowing you're the starting quarterback at Auburn for that week. It's going through Tiger Walk. It's going through pregame warm-ups, getting all those jitters out. Now you know the process. But as far as on-the-field stuff, it's going to be decision-making, and it's going to be if Auburn's able to run the ball or not.
Yes, sir. Jock Hunter needs to go between the tackles and get churn out the yards. But
he does. He needs to stop fumbling. That's what he needs to stop doing. He does it once every game in a big moment. And if I'm Arkansas, and I know that's what T. Will's going to be telling them, I'm going to rip at that ball like there's a golden ticket to Wonka's factory taped to the bottom of it.
Yeah. Players up for Brian Batiste, man. He's still going through a lot. Players up
that's just an awful situation, man. But he is doing a lot better than what a lot of people thought he was going to be. So hopefully he can keep doing that. And obviously thoughts and prayers are with him and his family, Mike. But, hey, thanks for calling in, buddy.
Appreciate it, Michael. Thanks, everybody, for calling in today. We appreciate it.
All right, let's get to bets. And we're going to get to this chat. Chat. All right, betting baseball again. Somebody kill me, please. Even though the Angels came through for your boy last night. So we're taking them again against the White Sox at plus 142 on the run line. That's minus 1.5. And then the Tigers. All right, think Scruble's going today. Give me them minus 1.5 at plus 134 as well.
So I read that the White Sox need 7 wins to avoid having the worst record in modern baseball history, and the Angels need 7 wins to avoid having the worst record in franchise history. And they play, what was it, Blaine, 6 times?
6 times.
The rest of the year?
Triple fight.
Give me the Braves minus 155 and the Astros minus 115. Let's do it.
All right, we're betting baseball. Who's having fun? Not this guy. Give me the Orioles minus 1.5. That's going off plus 126. And I'm rolling with the boys. At least David's team he goes for. That's Braves minus
the Rangers?
1.5 plus 106.
All right, Ace, what do you got?
What's he got?
He's going to go Dodgers money line minus 180, of course. And then the Royals on the money line at plus 114. I think they play the Tigers, so therefore, Ace, I hope you are wrong in the biggest way. Let's get to the chat.
All right, guys, let's get to these donations. If you donated today, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We're going to start off with CD with the $5 donation. Appreciate it. Why isn't every team physical? It's football. Who would think that they can win a football without being physical? What other mentality is there?
Well, I think the best way there's levels to it, right? I mean, obviously it's a contact sport. You want to be physical, but just because you want to be physical doesn't mean that you are physical. It's one thing to talk about it. It's another thing to really, truly do it. So when you're trying to differentiate from, well, this team doesn't have a physical mindset, there are some more finesse teams out there that kind of go about it a different way. A lot of it is how you structure practice, right? How much inside drill are you doing? How much one-on-one tackling are you doing? Is it just thud all the time? Or are we going to go live? Are we going to go good on good a lot like Saban used to do? So everybody wants to be good looking, but not everybody works out. It's just the way it is. And that's how you differentiate.
Let's go to a $10 donation from Going Tailgate, and he says, why is Lizzo playing quarterback?
Okay, Lizzo's lost some weight. I will give her credit. She lost some weight. Right, she's out there grinding. I still think other things, but yeah, it's now that I think about it, that did kind of look like old Lizzo.
No, then let's go to a $2 donation from JB. Appreciate it, man. He says, "Are we taking Iowa or the Fighting PJs?"
What's the over under at? Is it still 35.5?
Probably.
I don't know how you don't take the under.
I don't know. I would, because who the hell knows? I mean, even though Iowa did give up some points to Troy, that kind of shocked me a little bit. Play a game, let's be honest.
So Iowa minus 2.5, over under 35.5.
Still at 35.5. Minnesota's at home. Give me Iowa. I think Iowa just knows how to win more than Minnesota does.
Let's go to a $5 donation to I'm Husking Hard. He says, fellas, is the Nebraska bet the best bet of the weekend?
Do we just announce the squad right now for Nebraska?
Squad ride?
Wait. What's it at? Is it at 8.5?
8.5.
7.5 when it came down.
Is it 7.5?
I believe 6.5 is going off at minus 155.
Let's squad ride 6.5 at minus 155. Y'all ready for that?
Squad ride.
We've been undefeated on squad rides. Let's see if we can keep it going.
All right, let's go to a $5 donation from Nate. He said, I'm putting the rent on USC. How at risk am I for homelessness, Nate? I'm pretty sure we just talked to you, brother. You're going to be all right. $2 donation from TJ. The Madden curse is real, fellas. Christian McCaffrey is now out 4 to 6 weeks.
I'm telling you, it's happened more times than it's not. I'm starting to slowly become a believer.
The question is the Dr. Pepper Fansville curse real?
Yeah.
DJ was on it. Quinn Ewers hurt again now.
Bryce.
Well, that brings us to our next donation, $10 donation from Andrew P. Appreciate it, Andrew. He says, is the Panthers the problem or is it Bryce Young?
You hear what Baker Mayfield said?
What?
He sent out a poster. He said something like, yeah, Bryce will be fine. Bryce will be fine, especially if he finds like a new beginning or something.
Yeah.
I'm so much better off than I was.
It's, to quote Taylor Swift, I'm the problem, it's me. And that Charlotte, I think, is the problem. You put Bryce Young on the Texans starting off, he's not going to do what C.J. Stroud's been doing, but I think it would be a lot better and he'd be a lot more confident. It's just... football is not an individual sport that you can win by yourself. And I know Bryce is trying and it's frustrating. And he may not. He may end up being a bust if he goes to another team and we find out, hey, he may be damaged goods to the point where it's irredeemable. But I got higher hopes for Bryce than that. I think it's more Charlotte than it is anything.
Let's go to a $5 donation from Walt. Appreciate it, Walt. Why is Kyle Whittingham or Mike Gundy ever mentioned when a primetime program is in need of a head coach?
I think they've been mentioned before. I mean, Mike Gundy's gotten more extensions than somebody that knows somebody for the IRS, that works for the IRS. So his name's been in there. I think Whittingham, everybody knows he just wasn't leaving Utah. I mean, people are talking about now he may retire after this year. There's been some talk around that the last couple of years. So I think Gundy more than Whittingham. But I tell you what, man, I think they're both really good coaches. And what Whittingham's done, it's funny. Utah's overtly physical. How's Oklahoma State been able to kind of get back on the horse and win a lot of games? It's been because of physicality, not spitting the ball out. And now I know they've thrown it, had to throw it a lot more this year. But as far as kind of who they are, Oklahoma State's a run-to-pass team when everything's going good.
Whittingham's been there since Urban left for Gainesville.
Yeah. He's one of the most respected coaches in the country and should be.
$10 donation from the True Cowboy. Appreciate it. Says, guys, I don't understand. Help me figure it out. Why can't Oklahoma State run the ball?
Well, I could sit here and tell you it's because teams are putting more guys in the box, and they realize that to stop Oklahoma State, your best chance is to stop Ollie Gordon. But they did realize that with the same offensive line halfway through last season, yet Oklahoma State was still able to have success running. I don't think it's because Ollie Gordon is worse. I feel like, the book's been out on you guys kind of schematically what you're doing a little bit more. There's more tells in what you're doing with Ollie Gordon. So we always talk about being able to adjust to the adjustment. And at least so far in the run game, Oklahoma State hasn't been able to find themselves to the point to get back to where they were last year. But if their wide receiver room is really good. We talked about Owens, talked about Stribling coming on. If they're able to continue to throw like this, eventually people are going to have to start lightening that box up, and that's when you're going to start seeing kind of the old run game really kind of reemerge for Oklahoma State. So Alan Bowman can actually help himself out by continuing to throw the ball well to get defenses out of putting extra bodies in the box.
Let's go to a $3 donation from the OPJ Hawk. He says, guys, I know you haven't talked about it today, but what is going on at Kansas?
Turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
You turn the ball over.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. You can't sustain winning. You can't, whether it be against Illinois, whether what we saw the other night, giving the ball to the other team is a death sentence. That's why it's kind of surprising. The knock on Jalen Daniels was, well, he can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
Well, now it's not that he can't stay healthy. He can't stop giving the ball to the other team. Mm-hmm. So I don't mean to oversimplify it, but that's the big bugaboo I see with Kansas right now, and I think Lance Leipold will tell you the same thing.
And you can see flashes of how dynamic he is and can be. But when you turn the football over.
Did you feel like he's trying to just do everything and be Superman? Because if you watch a lot of his interceptions, David, they're late and over the middle. He knows better than that.
Yeah, I'm staying away from this West Virginia game.
I'm not touching that game, betting it. Hell no. No chance.
Let's go to a $5 donation from the Bourbon Boy. What's up, man? He says, guys, are the Saints for real this year?
Now, I think they are. Clint Kubiak, man. Clint Kubiak's a great play caller, and I think Derek Carr has this chip on his shoulder. I mean, look, it could all fall apart after week 3. It just all falls apart. That's the Saints team we've always known. But
against the Panthers, you're like, all right.
Yeah.
The Panthers aren't very good, but the Cowboys have some really good players on that defense, and it looked really easy. NSYNC wasn't just a band with Justin Timberlake. It feels like this team offensively, they've got a little bit of everything. I think Shaheed coming on the way that he has. I mean, you look at Olave, obviously Kamara, that's a great piece, him finding the end zone finally consistently. Taysom Hill, right, the ultimate Swiss Army knife. But Shaheed's ability, not only vertically, because that's what he used to be. It's just let's run deep and let him outrun a guy and see if Derek can throw it down there and he can catch it. I mean, he's become a complete receiver. You add that to the fold, it just opens up a lot of other things. So, yeah, I think the Saints are for real.
And I think there's a confidence, too, in knowing that division is so gettable.
Right?
Like, not impressed so far with the Falcons. You've already shown what you can do against the Panthers. Tampa Bay's a really good team, but you can go toe-to-toe with them. Even if you split, depending on what the rest of the outside the division schedule looks like, I think the Saints are going to say, if we win this division, we're in the playoffs.
And it feels like Derek Carr isn't holding on the ball as long as he normally does. He's getting it out pretty quickly. Yeah. So I think him and Kubiak, that relationship is obviously working out. It's paying dividends.
Let's go to a $5 donation from Cameron. Thank you, Cameron. He said, I had Debo Samuel on my fantasy team. He will be out a couple weeks, and my bench is not that good. Who should I go get?
Ooh, we need to look at who's on the waiver wire.
Yeah,
I got to know who's on the where you're at in the waiver where you're at in the order.
I need to know teams and what's left and where you are. But I would say if Quentin Johnson, I believe it's Quentin Johnson for the Chargers.
Yeah, he had 2 touchdowns.
He's starting to come along. I think he would be a great waiver wire pick.
He was so good at TCU. Too.
God, they had 2 of them, too.
They had him and Davis, who are both on the Chargers.
Yeah, that is correct. Let's go to a $2 donation from FDF Over. He said, should the LV Raiders go and try to get Bryce Young?
I don't know. Gardner Minshew ain't playing bad right now. If you're the Raiders, I'm wondering if you don't go get Bryce Young, if you don't want to move ahead with Gardner Minshew, and I'm not saying he's going to be some long-term plan for what Antonio Pierce and them want to do. I think this will be one of the years where you make a move in the draft and go up and get you a quarterback. Why not? I don't know. You got a guy at tight end that played with a guy at quarterback at Georgia right now who they were pretty good together. Could Carson Beck end up being in Las Vegas? You'd have to make a move probably because I don't think you're going to be in the position to draft him.
$5 donation from Pokey. Appreciate it, Pokey. Which of the Utes a-holes drove through my fence today letting all my heifers out? You will not stop me or the mullet madman in Stillwater Saturday.
Look, you're messing with the cattle. You're messing with
Get off Pokey's lawn.
Let's go to Tim with the $5 donation. Appreciate it, Tim. Jake, can I get a motivational speech from my daughter Ryland's volleyball team?
Yeah, play it.
Let's give him a second to find the music. Volleyball, huh? Hope there's no dudes playing in it. Said Rylan?
Rylan.
Sports. What does it mean to you? Doesn't matter what sport it is. Basketball, football, Quidditch, volleyball. Rylan, we believe in you here.
Believe.
I'm not going to get on here and yell, scream, tell you to play with relentless effort.
Play with relentless effort!
He will, but I won't. It's about being composed. It's a quiet violence, a slow burn, a fire that melts over time, not instant. It's a Game of Thrones situation. So whether it's a spike, whether you're the libero, yeah, I know what that means. You can wear a different color jersey.
Come on now.
It's true.
I'll get deep in my bag here. Don't play games. You guys got this. Tim, doing a good job. Proud of you.
Yeah, dude.
Want to be my dad?
Top 3, bro. You want to be my dad? All right, let's go to, let me try to get through these donations. A $5 donation from Steve. Appreciate it, Steve. One last thing I didn't get to during my call. I'll be taking the action figure photos at the tailgate if that's okay. Sure, that'll be fine. Let's go to $10 donation from David. Thank you, David. Been trying to call the last couple of days, but I've been unable to get through, so I'll say this. Jake, you often preach about culture, and that Bucs win over Detroit doesn't happen without good culture.
Oh, I agree.
Call in tomorrow, brother.
Last donation of the day. This is from Kenny Powers. Appreciate it, Kenny. $5 donation. Kenny. Is there a better resurrection story than Baker in Tampa?
No.
Dude looks like OU Baker again. Coaching and culture matters.
Yeah, dude.
I just know one guy on the set who didn't give up on Baker.
Look, you never gave up on him. I saw a stat today.
David, you did not give up on Baker.
Thank you.
Yeah, you did.
No, David, I think you need to take a bow.
Thank you. I'll take a bow. I saw a stat today comparing his first few seasons in the league to Drew Brees's. Like, they're, like, right in line.
Doesn't it seem like Baker's running around like old Baker? Not that he wasn't doing a good job before. He just looks crisper to me. He's
playing free.
Like maybe he changed his diet. Maybe he's eating avocados now or something. I don't know. But whatever he's doing is working. Listen.
I think he just got away from the Panthers.
Got out of Cleveland.
Yeah, and he was at the Cleveland and at the Panthers.
Yeah. That's tough. His commercials were funny in Cleveland, though.
All right, poll. Who is a better QB? Arch Manning or Quinn Ewers?
This is easy.
That's a tough one, man.
Quinn,
I love y'all's answer. This is easy. That's a tough one.
Well, I mean, for the poll.
If you're looking for a future, maybe, I would say Quinn Ewers 71%.
What did the chat say? I'll say Quinn Ewers, but tighter than that, like 55%.
Arch Manning, 97%.
Did they go with that?
Quinn Ewers, 66%.
Okay.
Arch Manning, 30%.
That's still, that's not a... Quinn's played a lot more ball than Arch. He takes off one time against UTSA.
There's just a backup quarterback savior syndrome.
That's what I'm saying. The first thing it starts going wrong.
Yeah.
Omaha.
Started with a whisper.
something
I kissed her. All right. We appreciate you guys. Shout out to our sponsors today. Black Rifle Coffee, Game Time. Responsible Man. We appreciate y'all. Thanks for everybody showing up. Don't worry, the throw's going to be better today. Like the chances of me blowing this, we're going.
Oh, that's all.
Jake. Oh, God, get out of here. Gambit.